preparing for auditions, a couple of things that I like to do and to think about are, I like to equate taking an audition like competing in a sports, whatever your sport is. If you look at ice skaters, they really like to visualize their whole routine before they get out on the rink. And for me, that's something I like to do. I like to visualize walking into the room. I like to visualize seeing the committee or the panel, or if it's behind a screen, seeing a screen and thinking, you know, I'm all alone and I'm just going to have this little concert all by myself. I like to just really see everything in a positive way. I think that a lot of sports psychologists really emphasize that you need to visualize these things before you go into a very high stress situation. Of course, there's always the preparation that you need to do musically before you get into an audition. And a couple of things that I like to tell my students is that I like to do what's called phrase mapping. And so that when you get into a situation where you are going to be nervous, that you know exactly what's going to happen. So for something like the Mozart Clarinet Concerto, which is a standard on every audition, and you're going to have to play it throughout your entire career, whether you're auditioning for a high school, whether you're auditioning at college or a professional orchestra, it's something that you're going to play over and over again. So when I have my students do phrase mapping and when I myself do phrase mapping, I like to play everything very slow and map out what I'm going to do. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but when you get nervous and you start to, everybody starts to play inward, this helps you to completely stay outward and to express your musical ideas while you're still nervous. Another thing that I tell all of my students to do is when you walk into a room, whether, again, college, high school, we're sitting there listening to you, and walk in and smile. That immediately lets us know that you're happy to be there, you're not nervous. I think it really eases everybody's nerves a lot when you give the committee a smile. When I'm listening to somebody who is auditioning for me at Rutgers or at the Met, I'm listening for musical ideas. That's why I really teach phrase mapping, so that when you are nervous, you don't forget the music, that it's really ingrained. And that exaggeration that you practice while you're phrase mapping is then ingrained in you. And then it gets polished down into a product that is not exaggerated. You know, the rhythm is there, the pitch is there, but I'm looking for a musical idea and somebody who has something to say. There, especially at the college level and the high school level, people who make rhythmic mistakes, that's not as important to me as it is on a professional level in a professional audition. But I'm also looking for somebody who expands the dynamics, somebody who really plays forte, somebody who can really play piano, who shows everything that they have, that they're looking at what the composer wrote on the page. Those are all really important things to pay attention to, because so often people just play something and it's just monotone. And again, that's the idea of the phrase mapping, is to really practice the dynamics, practice your inflections, and practice that phrasing quality. I think somebody who comes in and is really nervous and walks in, I'm always rooting for them. And that's another thing to keep in mind is, you know, people say, don't be nervous, think of the audience in their underwear, you know, or their pajamas. And that's something that's supposed to keep you from getting too nervous, that we're all in the same boat together. Another thing that I've told myself is that it's only music. No one's going to die. It's not rocket science. Nothing will happen that's bad. Somebody who comes in is really nervous and squeaks, it's okay. We all squeak, you know, and so we're all human. I think that when somebody comes in and actually smiles and looks relaxed, they play relaxed. And that's the idea of the mental imaging, and that you really have to imagine yourself relaxed and having a good time, and that will come out in your musical playing. At the Met, all of our auditions are behind a screen, every single round. So the preliminaries are all behind a screen, the semis, the finals are all behind a screen, and then the committee deliberates and the winner is asked to come out from behind the screen. So we never see anybody. But we've had funny times where people will play something, they'll totally fall apart and then get up and leave. And it's so sad because they're going along just fine and then they make one mistake and the whole thing falls apart. And it's always okay to ask the prompter, or even if we're sitting right there, to say, you know what, I'm just going to start that over. You know, it's happened on American Idol. You know, Brooke started over. It's okay. Because you've worked that hard. You know, give yourself a chance to play it, and everybody has nerves, so it's okay to start over. Ask the proctor, can I please start this again? And it's just, you feel so horrible sitting on a committee thinking, oh, this person worked for months and months to get here, and then they just, you know, fell apart and then left. So definitely, if you make a mistake and you think it's that bad, start over. It's okay. Another thing that I think is really important when you're looking at schools, whether it's a freshman, a master's, AD, DMA, call up the teacher that you are thinking about working with and take a lesson, because so much of auditions at that level are actually done by us knowing each other. So if I like to know that I can work with somebody, you're here to learn, and by taking a lesson with the teacher, you get an idea of what you want and whether or not you think you can work for 2 years or 4 years with that teacher. So don't be afraid to call up somebody and ask for a lesson and get an idea of what they do, what they teach, if that style works with your style. And again, the most important thing, I think, is just to remember to have fun and to smile. You want to be a musician, you have a passion for music, you love the clarinet. That will come out if you relax and you smile before you play.